And welcome back to Out of the Park 23 as the Minnesota Twins, and it is the end of the season. I believe this is the same record that we ended last year with 105 wins, 57 losses. Hopefully, we can actually finish the job in the playoffs this year. So, how did we get there? So, first in runs against, third in runs scored. Bullpen ERA did come up a little bit from where it was at that midpoint of the year, but still, obviously, first in the majors, still sub three. I will take it. Um, Offense did end up being pretty good. Adrian with a pretty good year of 313, 369, 616 slash line, 44 homers, 133 RBIs, 6.5 WAR. You'll take it. So starting off, if we talk about our All Stars, we had four pitching All Stars this year. Surprisingly, no Corbin Burns. Julius Sanchez was our one starter who gets that. His end of the year was really bad. This is concerning for me going into the playoffs for sure. Even though we won three of these five games, you don't like to see four earned runs being the least he allowed. So the ERA was basically sub three coming into this last month and it ends at over four. So that's concerning. But he was an all star. Duran is an all star. Nardi was an all star. And Mazzucato was an all star. So, yeah, I mean, the bullpen continues to be very, very good for us. We've invested a good amount of money there, and it's more or less paid off. Hitters, we end with three. Jose Miranda has probably, I think, his best year, I would say. A little bit more WAR in 24, but I believe he was playing third base that year. Yeah. So I think he just picked up a little more WAR because third base is more important. But I mean, this is his best offensive season. Almost 5 WAR again. He's up to 28.4 for his career. Another just really good year for Jose Miranda. The career batting average almost up to over 300. Really good year for him. Mario Adrian, obviously, all star. Joshua Baez as well, very much making me regret not offering him that 2.5 million deal before the year that I was very much considering. So now we really have to make some decisions on him. So his 8.4 ARB estimate. There's an argument to be made to try to extend him maybe like 3, 4 years, something like that. We'll see. But I mean, really, it's 2 good years and 1 year with injury issues that obviously limited him quite a bit. The bat was not great, but I mean, you can probably just attribute that to injuries because he's been really good the other 2 years. So we'll have some decisions to make on him. Obviously, he's good defensively. So that'll be an interesting offseason decision. We did actually make two trades at the deadline this year. Second base was an issue point for me. Collier wasn't hitting very well. Mejia wasn't hitting very well. Neither of them were super good defensively either. Correa's obviously an issue. Just defensively, the bat is still fine, but the defense is so bad I didn't want to play him every day. So we went out and traded for CJ Abrams, who was having a good year for Boston and then had a better rest of the year with us. And you can see he put up 3.8 WAR in playing roughly half of the year because of injury issues, which we had a couple injuries for him as well this year, concussion and a back issue. So obviously there's concerns there. I mean, this is a pretty long list of injuries that he's dealt with. So he's on an expiring deal. Let's see if this has changed at all. Yeah, this is only. I'm not going to give him a 9-year contract. Not for a second baseman whose ratings aren't outstanding, and is that this injury prone. I don't see it. Just to end up, I think probably just going to be a good acquisition for us for the 1 year, and we'll probably call it at that. The cost for Abrams was Hector Belton, who's I think a decent enough pitching prospect. Was a guy who was progressing a little bit through the system, but my scout has just soured on him with time. He was that 70 potential, but it's really just gone down, and my scout doesn't see the overall ratings having really gone up all that much. Yeah, this is one of the guys who went to the Royce Lewis High School as well. So that didn't really turn out super well for us with him. So Clayton Beater was the other person that we acquired. Um, he's been really up and down. 388 BABIP is obviously problematic, and because this is a pretty big disparity of the FIP being half of the ERA. So yeah, we're not gonna extend him, I don't think either. Yeah, and this is more reasonable, but yeah, we don't have a ton of money for next year at this point. We'll have more once we do some arbitration stuff, but yeah, we I don't think can afford to extend him, and I don't know that we really want to either. Even though the FIP has been so good, I don't really see it being worthwhile. So the cost for this rental is Nelson Mejia, Hunter Parsons. Parsons is basically just a random throw in um, that I didn't see a ton of value in. And then Nelson Mejia is the bigger part of this deal for sure. He's hit, I would say, fairly well the last couple of years. Is a decent corner outfielder, could probably be a backup center fielder, and can hit decently. But the problem is I have a lot of guys like him in my system, and I think he's the worst of that bunch. So we kind of were just trading from a position of depth here because that fifth starter role just was a problem for us. Um, Klassen wasn't great. Huesman hasn't been great. We did give Jessup a shot, and he was fine in that one start kind of that he needed to make while I was kind of adjusting my rotation after the acquisition of Beater. But yeah, so those were the two trades. The Abrams one definitely worked out better than picking up Clayton Beater, but kind of is what it is. The big contract decision we did make was Tyler Ayers is now signed through 2035. This is the deal, 6 years, $72 million. Took a little bit to get him to actually be willing to agree to a not just 1 year deal. I think this is pretty reasonable. I mean, they'll sign him through his age 30 year. 2 team options at the back end of it. And really, he's just been very, very good this year. I mean, really, the only time he has not been good was last year in that rookie year getting adjusted to the majors. He was still good defensively. I mean, he put up 1 WAR at an 83 OPS plus. So that kind of, the signs were kind of there that stuff could start to turn around, and it really has this year. So a 4 WAR year in his second season, and he's very good defensively. Third base is a more important defensive position in this part of out of the park than it has been in the past, and he's a pretty good hitter too. He's not a superstar hitter, I don't think. My guess is this will be his career high OPS plus at 142, but still a very, very good year for him. I think that extension will turn out pretty good for us. Blake Hunt really struggled this year offensively. I think this is probably by far his worst year. I mean, he's been at least like the 70 to 80 range when he's been bad before. But this is just, I don't know where this came from offensively for him. Still 1.6 WAR, still a super good defensive catcher. Really, I think that's really all there is to say. Gutierrez is going to be gone at the end of this year. I mean, I'm not paying $2.4 million for this level of production. Yeah, like he's a fine enough backup catcher, but I've got a couple guys at AAA that I think can fill that role for cheaper and hopefully give me better production than that. Marcos Cabrera will also be gone. He wants $2.2 million next year. I mean, obviously that last year was the outlier. Hit righties better than lefties this year. That's weird. So he matched them the year before. Kirilloff looks like pick it up kind of at the end of the year to finish with above 100 OPS plus. He was trending around 90 for a lot of the year. So this is unfortunate. I wish that I had put 2 team options on his contract. You live and you learn, because I wouldn't take it for next year. I don't want to. I'm going to try my hardest to trade him in this offseason. I just think that this is not what you want from a designated hitter. You need more than 6% above league average. Though I guess the question is, do I really have anyone to replace him? Maybe I should look into that before I speak so openly about trading him. Talked about Miranda, Abrams, Ayers. Arroyo was bad offensively, but fine defensively. Yeah, puts up over 1 zone rating, both at second and short. So that's probably fine. I'd like my backup middle infielder to hit a little bit more than this, but that is what it is. Correa, I mean, hit, but very little. I mean, you can see this is not a lot of games played for that big of a zone rating negative. So like that to me is kind of the problem with him. Of I don't really feel like I can play him regularly. So because I'm really not sure about second base next year, how did Carrillo actually end up doing in AAA? I want him to start there. What I might do is I might just let Correa be my second baseman next year, kind of take the defensive hit, because Royce is a pretty good defensive shortstop. Kind of ride that out, and if he does start to struggle, then we'll move to Carrillo. Mejia really kind of tapered off this year quite a bit. Didn't even hit very well at AAA. So that's concerning. I think my scout might have actually ended up being a little more right. Maybe he was just overperforming, but it was so consistently good. Kind of like from 25 on, like the worst OPS pluses are this at 119 and then a 116 there. So a little unfortunate there, but yeah, second base has now kind of become an issue point for me. So I'm very happy with Royce at short. Or I guess just a middle infield position is an issue, because I'm totally fine playing Royce at either one. Adrian, monster year, we talked about it. Lara was very up and down. I did send him down to the minors for like a month or so, a little over a month, because he just had really heavily slumped at the major league level. Like this end of June into July was just not good. Looks like he's hitting really well in September now. So he kind of took over my fourth outfield role, because he's better defensively than Ramos. Yeah, maybe I should even have him. Let's see. He ends with 1.9 zone rating. What does he end up with? Negative 0.5. So I think the plan was probably going to be to start Lascano still, because I think the defensive value is a lot higher. Because I don't think Lara's actually this is a hitter. And then Baez we talked about. So yeah, I think that these will probably be the lineups we go with in the postseason. As far as the pitching staff goes, Corbin Burns kind of doing Corbin Burns things. A little bit worse than the last couple of years, but not noticeably. Still very, very good pitcher. I mean, still just Corbin Burns. Gomez is more concerning to me. BABIP is definitely a problem. It's quite a bit higher than it has been the last couple of years. But the FIP isn't much higher than last year. And this is a pretty decent-sized gap. Yeah, I mean, he's still under contract for 3 more years, so not really a ton to say there. I mean, I would say this is probably still a tradable contract, but I don't think we're at that point yet. Peter was kind of fine. Sanchez was really good, other than, again, this last month is concerning. I think he's my number 2 starter right now still, but hasn't taken that. I mean, because the crazy thing is, before this last month, I would say he had taken the step forward, because the ERA was sub 3. He was doing super well, but something's gone on this last month. I don't know if there's some kind of like injury recovery thing, because he was out for a week with that back issue, but that was in August. And I don't think the issues were in August too. Yeah, August was fine. I mean, like, look at this. Like, this was all really good, and then September was just awful. So yeah, so that's something to figure out. Alvarez is interesting. This last month, and wow, this is really up and down. 3 starts of no runs, one with five, one with six. So he's been fine, I guess. Won 18 games this year. That's kind of crazy. 5.5 million in arbitration for him next year. That's definitely questionable. But do I have people to replace the two of them? Because really, what I'm looking at pitcher wise is this: is I've got these three that are my kind of top three guys, and then 4 and 5 are question marks. So none of these guys really are starters. Yeah, I don't. He hasn't been good when I've used him as a starter. He's just been good out of the bullpen. Oh, looks like he did make a start for me. Oh, good for him. That was a pretty good start. But yeah, because like we've got the question marks with Weissman, Jessup, Klassen. They're kind of all question marks there. I mean, Tovar had a pretty good year. Maybe we give him a shot as a starter because I don't really have that many guys that are super close. I mean, Ekstrom's not ready. Weaver. Like, we don't really have guys to make that work. We'd be looking at signing 1 to 2 free agent starting pitchers probably if we don't re-sign Alvarez. But I don't know that he's worth 5.5 million. So that's an interesting kind of question for us to ponder in the offseason. Bullpen, super good. No real issues to talk about here. Other than Medeiros was surprisingly bad. Where he had the ERA around 4.5 at points. The FIP is obviously quite a bit better. Still striking out a lot of guys, still walking too many. I mean, this BABIP is just crazy. This 366 BABIP. Like, that to me very much says that he should be fine going into next year. I moved him out of the setup role because of the struggles. I put Nunez there because he has a sub-1 ERA. And that seemed to work out better. But yeah, the pitching staff was very good. This year we'll have to figure out exactly what we want to do for our playoff roster here. It's I don't know what pitcher I leave off. Obviously they're all good. It's probably between Boedas and Abeda who we leave off for the playoff roster. But as far as some of the people that did some pretty crazy things, I just kind of need to show this off. Okay, he didn't actually finish there. So he was sitting over 200 for so much of this year for his OPS plus. It's up 9 WAR almost as a first baseman. Wait, did he not lead the league in WAR? Okay, who led the league in WAR then, if it wasn't him? Yeah, Poisson had a crazy year. There were some pretty big offensive numbers this year. Adrian with 89 extra base hits. Okay, where is WAR on here? Yeah, Ayers with 13 triples. Oh, no, he did. Maybe it was... No, this is combined. Yeah, so I don't know why that's not red then. But yeah, I mean, this is just a nutty year. Arizona misses the playoffs with these two guys. 8 WAR second baseman and a 7.7 WAR third baseman. Not enough to make the playoffs. 85 and 77. So they win the World Series and then out of the playoffs, 4th in their division. Wow. Yeah, that division was pretty good this year. The Brewers did fall off a little bit, but they do make the playoffs. Let's see, what other interesting stats things are there? So yeah, Adrian finishes, I mean, obviously just super high in a lot of these categories. 138 RBIs for Poisson. Over 1,000 OPS for Vlad. I mean, obviously Vlad and Poisson are just kind of going to top a lot of these lists. Let's take a look at pitching. What kind of crazy years did we have? Luis Patino was really good. Alvarez leads the league and wins randomly. It's like he was not. And this honestly is why pitcher wins are such a dumb stat. Is because Like, he was not the best pitcher in baseball. It doesn't, like, the fact that he won 18 games is just, who cares? Like, he was the worst pitcher on my staff, I think. I mean, either him or Peter. But yeah, let's see. So only 4 complete game shutouts this year. Flaherty actually had 3 complete games. He was terrible. One of those was against us. Let's see, Eldridge with 277 strikeouts. This Connor Crisp guy is so good. Like, he doesn't even walk that many people either, so that's kind of crazy. Burns second in WHIP, second in fielding independent pitching. But yeah, lots of our people up here in holds. Their bullpen was really good, so that's kind of what ends up leading to that happening. So yeah, that's the regular season for this year. Pretty good year for the team. Really, I think our biggest threat in our conference is going to be the Angels. They're a pretty similar team to us, honestly. Second in runs against, sixth in runs scored. Josh Hader's the back end of the bullpen. Their bullpen was really good. Pitching, the starters a little bit more. Oh, hey, there's Wesneski is starting to. No, maybe just had a good year. Hasn't been super great other than that. So good minor league free agent signing for them. But yeah, that is the team this year. I think we had a pretty good year. Our prospects are coming along pretty well. Still have 5 guys. We actually had both Shavaria and Oviedo through no-hitters. Or wait, no. It was Shavaria and Chris Christmas through a no-hitter. So that was fun to see both of those things happening. And yeah, so team looks like it's still in pretty good spot. We'll see you next time for the playoffs. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Catch you in the next one. Bye.